After spending 2 million hours watching home renovation shows on TV, I am prepared to call myself an expert. And I have some thoughts. While everyone's going on about shiplap and farmhouse sinks, painting their brick walls, and stroking their Carrara marble countertops, you know what I really like? For someone to acknowledge just once how bad those renovations are for the planet. Like mining marble, bad for the environment. Making and installing insulation, bad for everyone's lungs and the environment. Dumping drywall in landfills after demo day, bad for the environment. In fact, that forever home represents decades of energy use and environmental impact. And fine, we need places to live, but if we keep ignoring how our buildings and homes impact the environment and our communities, eventually things are going to be less fixer-upper and more naked and afraid. And personally, that is not a world I want to live in. Hi, I'm Miriam Nielsen, and this is Study Hall Sustainability. Construction, heating, cooling, lighting, and custom backsplash tiles are the reason HGTV exists. But they're also all part of the building sector of the economy. That's the part responsible for giving us everything from swanky city high-rises to suburban housing developments. But like I said, creating buildings and decking them out takes energy and resources, and that has a real environmental impact. Let's say you're building your dream house on yet another HGTV show that centers Shager cabinets over sustainability. You finally found the perfect plot of land in a good part of town with nice neighbors and an award-winning bakery that makes amazing blueberry sourdough Pop-Tarts. The process of making your dream a reality might go like this. Before construction begins, workers use fossil fuel-powered vehicles like excavators and bulldozers to clear the land. And while that's great for your new mid-century modern ranch-style casita, it's not great for all the cute woodland creatures whose homes were just destroyed. And after displacing Bambi, the builders start ordering materials like wood and concrete to put your house together. These materials can also contribute to deforestation, habitat disruption, greenhouse gas emissions, soil degradation, and water pollution. Next, all those building materials need to be delivered to your soon-to-be new home, which takes even more fossil fuels. Then the construction crew works its magic to transform those piles of carbon-intensive materials into a house with floors, walls, and a roof, and a craftsman-style front porch. All of that takes more energy and has more environmental impact. And the builders probably ordered extra materials because of that guy who doesn't always measure things correctly, which means you've also got to account for the impact of things like leftover miscut floorboards. From start to finish, it takes 4 gigajoules of energy per square meter to build an average-sized family home in the US. That's kind of like filling up your car with gas twice for every square meter of the home. And once that home is up and running, you'll flip lights on and off, heat water for your laundry, dishwashing, and showers, and turn on the AC when it's hot and the heater when it's cold. 90% of a home's total energy use comes after it's constructed, while we're using it day to day. All that adds up to around 290 gigajoules of energy usage per year, which is the same amount of energy as driving round trip from LA to New York 10 times. That's why the building sector accounts for over a third of global energy consumption and fossil fuel emissions. And that's not great for the planet, but it's also not great for people. The people making the materials and building the home can be exposed to unsafe materials from glue, paint, and dust. And the people living in those homes can also suffer from less sustainable building practices. Even in a forever home, nothing lasts forever, and especially if low-quality materials are used, homeowners will spend time and money replacing flooring and shingles or renovating again when, God willing, shiplap finally goes out of style. And that leads to higher costs and even more human and environmental impact. The thing HGTV doesn't want you to know, besides induction stoves being so much better than gas, is that we already have methods for constructing buildings sustainably. Green building refers to designing and constructing buildings to prioritize efficiency, renewable energy, and the health and well-being of inhabitants. And it starts by making sure that the raw materials are sourced sustainably. For example, 8 to 10% of global carbon dioxide emissions come from producing cement. The most common type of cement is made by mixing materials like clay and limestone together. Then that mixture is fired in kilns, which almost always runs on fossil fuels. During this process, nearly half of the limestone in the mixture gets lost as carbon dioxide. But we can also make green cement. That can mean replacing the limestone in cement or making concrete with other materials like bioplastics or coal and steel byproducts, which helps lower the emissions that come from the manufacturing process. Green cement can also be made with less carbon-intensive processes. For example, capturing the carbon emissions from firing and using it in the cement, or making living concrete, which uses photosynthesis and actually absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And cement is just one example. More sustainable insulation, called cellulose insulation, can be made from recycled newsprint. It's better for the earth than traditional fiberglass insulation, which is made of sand and glass and is very itchy. And it's also better at insulating homes, so it saves money on heating and cooling. We can make our homes more sustainable while we're using them too. For example, net zero buildings use things like solar panels or other renewable energy systems to provide all the energy the home needs. But not everyone has an HGTV budget and can afford this kind of top-of-the-line green technology. Saving money and sustainability can go hand in hand during renovation though, like by keeping the existing doors and cabinets in a house instead of getting new ones. That not only saves money and some of the original character of the house, it also keeps those materials out of the landfills. Or builders and homeowners can turn to retrofitting, or upgrading the structure and operations of older buildings to make them more energy efficient. That means things like installing more energy efficient windows, doors, insulation, and appliances. And just making a few changes can make a big energy difference. But even these kinds of changes aren't things everyone can do. While they'll likely lead to lower energy costs over the life of the home, they can have high upfront costs that not everyone can afford. And considering my landlord won't give me my security deposit back if I dared hang even one picture on the wall, people who rent their homes probably can't just switch out their windows and insulation. The good news is, even if your landlord isn't going to replace the insulation, there are some built-in sustainability benefits to living in rented spaces, particularly in multi-unit housing like apartment complexes, which use less land and reduce development pressure on open spaces. Plus, energy costs tend to be lower since there are fewer exposed walls. And mixed-use building developments that incorporate multiple types of social and economic activities into one space can also have sustainability benefits. For example, an apartment complex that shares its ground floor with a coffee shop, medical clinic, spa, and hair salon. These developments provide access to multiple social spaces in one building, so they function as a one-stop shop for nearby residents, which reduces energy and human health costs from commuting. And since they're often connected by sidewalks, mixed-use buildings can improve walkability and accessibility, which leads to better health outcomes and reduced environmental impacts. But even in communities like these, the builders, landlords, and people in charge of zoning and permits hold the power over what's being built, which means that support for sustainable development needs to come from the very top. And some of that has already started happening too. The very top, aka governments, are putting incentives in place to encourage people and businesses to make more sustainable building choices. This can look like tax rebates or credits to lower the out-of-pocket costs, passing rezoning laws to allow for more multi-use buildings, or setting deadlines for emissions reduction. But when it comes to the building sector, change takes time. Many traditional materials like concrete and steel are cheap, versatile, and widely available, which means they're hard to give up. They're also familiar and proven to last, so making the switch to more sustainable alternatives can be tough, especially when we aren't sure how durable newer materials will be. And it's not always easy or even more sustainable to yank these materials out of old buildings and insert newer, more environmentally friendly ones. To help speed up the shift, government organizations began creating green building standards to incentivize and promote more sustainable construction by offering tax breaks and fee reductions for permits. For example, in 1990, the UK came out with the Building Research Establishment Environmental Assessment Method, or BREEAM, the world's first sustainability assessment method for buildings. Not to be outdone, the United States Green Building Council created the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, or LEED, scoring system in 1994. This program certifies whether homes, neighborhood developments, cities, and commercial buildings meet green building standards. For example, in New York City, the Solaire is the first LEED-certified residential high-rise in the United States. Along with its rooftop garden, state-of-the-art fitness center, and playrooms for kids, it uses 50% less water compared to similar buildings thanks to a system that uses wastewater to help cool the building. It's also 35% more efficient than apartment buildings in New York City are required to be, partly because it has thick, well-insulated walls and a system of solar panels to provide energy. Another LEED-certified building is the carbon-neutral Yongzheng Library in China. It has rooftop solar panels and collects wind power to use throughout the library. It also has few windows and thick, insulated walls to keep warm and cool air from escaping. That means it takes less energy to heat and cool the library. And these more sustainable buildings aren't just better for the planet, they're also better for people. Construction sites for environmentally friendly buildings can be safer and healthier for workers because using sustainable materials reduces elements like lead and mercury throughout the supply chain. They also create healthier environments for the people who live and work in the buildings and for the surrounding communities who benefit from lower emissions and less pollution. And that's ultimately the point. Green buildings can help us create spaces that meet our social and cultural needs as individuals and communities. That means the spaces aren't just good for Mother Nature, they're equitable and accessible for everyone. Whether or not these kinds of developments and more eco-friendly housing are truly accessible and affordable is a whole other issue. But that's why it takes a combination of individual homeowners and renters asking for these kinds of spaces, and builders, companies, governments, and HGTV hosts providing them. Because it's not like we just need more reality shows where the hosts tell us about all the ultra-sustainable building materials they're using to build new mixed-use developments. What we actually need is for everyone to be able to access this kind of stuff. Better buildings are better for the environment and for the people living and working in them for decades to come. But if those buildings are only available to the people with HGTV budgets or the one landlord willing to update the windows, it's not better for anyone. If you're enjoying the series and are interested in taking the full Study Hall Sustainability course and earning college credit from ASU, check out GoStudyHall.com or click on the button to learn more. And if you want to help us out, give this video a like, comment your favorite home renovation show, and smash that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, see you next time.